Namaste, it's Michelle Skaletski-Boyd, Soul Journey Guide, intuitive medium, and best-selling author. As you watched in the very first video, we can sometimes really harm and fool ourselves for quite some time, staying stuck in our addiction to drama. If you are now at a point where you're ready to trust yourself, to refresh your soul, this is the video for you. Soul is our total self. It's the essence of who we are. It is the spiritual principle embodied in each human being. In many religions, the soul is believed to give life to the body, and when the body is gone, it still lives on. Idioms for soul include lost soul, kindred soul, sell your soul, God rest the soul, bare your soul, heavy soul, soul sister, soul brother, living soul, kindred soul. The list goes on. Merriam-Webster's definition of soul is the quality that arouses emotion and sentiment. In other words, the soul is that which gives us the ability to deeply feel morally and emotionally. And it is what allows us to experience kindness and sympathy while appreciating life's beauty all around. When we put our heart and soul into something, it's natural to attach to a certain outcome, a certain person, circumstance, or event. In other words, we forget to surrender, give it to God, and let go. So this is where forgiveness comes in. Let's break it down with more definitions by Merriam-Webster's. Refresh the soul. Refresh. It means to freshen up, to restore strength and animation to maintain by renewing supply, and to bring back to an original state or normal condition. In other words, refresh is returning to the source of who you truly are, to your original blueprint, to your God-given state of love, completion, and wholeness. If you felt stuck in drama, dysfunction, hardship, pain, suffering, you have been in a false relationship with yourself and probably with the world. This is why life has felt so hard. Relationships are how we relate. And Merriam-Webster's defines relate as to show or make a connection between two or more. In this case, between me, myself, and I, between soul, between ego, between higher self and smaller self. There's all different terms for this. Relate also means to understand and like or have sympathy for someone or something. When it comes to addictions to drama, you might have liked the suffering for a while. Now, you might say that's not true, but how many times have you said, no, I can't really relax, it's too boring otherwise, or life is really not all that fun if I just sit still. But now that you're starting to understand that stillness and going within is truly part of healing, you might be ready to start relating to yourself and to the world much more differently. Relate also means to tell something. In fact, the first definition of relate is a transitive verb, which means to give an account of. So I ask you, what story have you been telling about yourself, about your past, about your history, and about that one person or situation or event that you have still been dishonest with yourself about? What words do you use to describe your life? And where are you headed from here? You see, we can narrate by relating in detail to certain events, people, circumstances, and perceptions, but you then become an observer of your reality. Is your reality true? Is it embellished? Is it false? How are you relating to the world? When you're addicted to drama, the story you tell becomes your truth. It becomes your evidence. Merriam-Webster's defines evidence as outward sign. Evidence is an indication that points out what feels very much like your truth. Yet all evidence is outward. It's something that furnishes proof, which means your story takes on an energy that bears witness. It also means if the story you've been telling yourself makes you out to look a certain way, it becomes a testimony, and it very much feels like truth. Law of attraction brings in more of the same. Law of polarity works with resistance to keep it in play. And then this becomes how we remain. It becomes part of who we are. And to make it even more complex, it can become very multi-layered and intertwined, that we even have ourselves fooled and convinced that the story we're telling is real. So how do you begin telling your story in a different way? You see, many years ago, I was working with a client who was pretty fit and beautiful from my perspective, but because she was told by a medical professional that she was now obese, she was really struggling with her self-esteem. Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines obese as very fat, excessive fat, and grossly overweight. When I looked at the woman, I didn't see this. I saw someone who was quite beautiful. She was a little bit bigger, but I would have never described her in that way. According to Harvard Online, both adult men and women should have a body mass index around certain numbers. For example, if you want to be considered healthy, it should be around 18.5 to 24.9. It's known as BMI. Now, again, I'm not a doctor. I'm just simply telling you what this client and myself were discussing. She explained that the BMI, if it's 25, then it means that you are labeled as overweight. So I said, well, what happens if you're 24.9? She said, well, then you're healthy. To me, that seems ridiculous. The BMI, if it's 30, well, then you're considered obese. You're no longer overweight. So why 30? Where does this come from? And why is it that we are labeled in this way? As soon as I used the word obese, the woman began to sob. She'd been struggling with her diet and with herself and exercise for so long that she could not get past that label and could not see herself as beautiful. So I showed her the same article that was online at Harvard, and it also had a quote right next to it that said, "The epidemic is reaching catastrophic proportions, and one of the key of small steps to bringing it under control is to have a common language to describe the problem." In other words, the BMI index was created so that that common language could become labels that we could put on people in hopes of bringing weight issues under control. In my opinion, as a professional clinically certified hypnotherapist, it's just the opposite. We have programmed people to see themselves in a very unhealthy way. What was intended as a useful tool has now become very dysfunctional. It's created perceptions about ourselves that keep us stuck in suffering. This is one of many labels that can keep us stuck and lodge us into addictions of drama. Merriam-Webster's defines label as a word or phrase that describes or identifies something or someone. Did you catch that? If you let it, these labels can become your identity. They can become your false truth. They can cause you to believe it's who you are. So I'll ask you again, what story have you been telling yourself? Do you describe yourself as anxious, OCD, overweight, obese, diabetic, alcoholic, too tall, too short, too fat, too thin, too young, too old, too out of shape? The list goes on and on. Start listening to the story that you tell. Your words have power. Start paying attention to the stories that you've been told by others who are telling you who you are. And notice where you're stuck in drama, addictions, and suffering. Take your power back again. Statements like, he's no good, she is selfish, they are getting what they deserve, my boss is a jerk, the president is a so-and-so, this country has gone to hell. These are all drama addiction energies. Those of you watching this most likely have been watching me for a while, and you already know how important self-talk is. You already probably do your best to speak your truth, authentically and kindly as often as you can. You most likely are detaching yourself from taking the bait from so-called experts who want to tell you what your new label is and what your story should be. I'm here to tell you to notice the energies in your body that are still causing you to feel guilty, heavy, confused, that are still unserving or unkind. Be it a bad breakup from long ago, a quarrel, a disagreement, a trauma, a bitterness, a hostility, a crime. You are ready to refresh your soul. And I'm speaking from experience. If you've read any of my best-selling books, or especially my novel, then you know I was addicted to drama. But the truth is that I didn't know any better. It was my normal. Stories that I was caught up in, labels, dysfunction, and chaos were the game. If you're ready to be free, if you're open to releasing the blame, the anger, the resentment, the hurt, the guilt, the shame, to move beyond the anger and the rage, if you're ready to ditch the old stories, if you're open to relating to others, to yourself, and to the world in a much more healthy way, then stick around for the next video where I'll be leading you through a guided meditation to help you transition out of suffering, to shift out of the darkness and into the light.